Julie Tetzert, you are a fever. Hey, look, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Y'all said y'all cool with it.
And now they have their opportunity. They have their opportunity as French trans phenom Julie Tetzert looks WNBA ready and is waiting for the league to call. Cheryl Reeve, where are you at? Brianna Turner, Miss I got my degree in inclusivity.
The transgender player has been dominating France's second-tier women's basketball league, and now the WNBA question is front and center. Julie Tetzert averages 21 points and 20 rebounds this year, while sweeping Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Domestic Player of the Year honors after a record-breaking campaign. When asked whether she joined the WNBA if a team called, she was quoted as saying, "I won't say no." Indiana Fever, send the shirt, get it all, get everything ready, get the pen and pad ready, go on and get the contract.
Well, congratulations to the WNBA. It looks like the league has finally discovered the missing piece that's going to solve all its problems. Forget better marketing, stronger TV deals, or bigger arenas. Apparently, the answer is a 34-year-old French center named Julie Tetzert, who just spent a season in France's second division averaging an eye-popping 21 points and 20 rebounds per game, and says she wouldn't turn down a WNBA opportunity if the call comes.
I want to get to a subject that I will openly admit is going to be highly sensitive. Some people are going to try to politicize it. It's not about politics to me. It's a sports story. But I don't give a damn how you feel. I'm not running from it. And that involves the WNBA coach. Her name is Cheryl Reeve. She's a coach in the WNBA. She is the coach of the Minnesota Lynx. And during this weekend, in a game against the Indiana Fever, she was seen wearing a Trans Kid Belong t-shirt.
After watching Cheryl Reeve turn a simple policy opinion from Sophie Cunningham into a full-blown shirt and confrontation spectacle on live TV, you'd think the WNBA would be racing to sign an actual MVP caliber player. But apparently not. So where's the phone call? Where's the press release? Where's the big announcement? Somebody better get the front office on the line, because apparently inclusion only matters when there's a viral moment attached to it.
We're trying to almost weaponize the word kid and children to, dig deep on the feelings of people instead of the facts, which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women. So I just hate it when words like that are weaponized. And Sophie Cunningham made it very, very clear from day one, when, by the way, she didn't bring this up. She was asked by an ESPN reporter about this topic, and she answered. And then as the controversy brewed, she went on Twitter and said the same thing, which is, I am not trying to exclude anyone. Everybody is welcome at my table, but this is the WNBA.
Let's be honest about what the W in WNBA is supposed to stand for. Women. That's not a controversial statement. It's literally the name of the league. The reason a women's league exists separately from the men's game is because biological differences in size, strength, speed, and athletic performance matter in competitive sports. Ignoring those differences doesn't make them disappear. If anything, it risks undermining the very purpose of having a women's league in the first place.
I think it is incredible that she is the only current professional athlete on the women's side, certainly here in North America, of the major sports, that has chosen to state the obvious, that women's sports are for women.
Sage Steele already exposed the double standard at the heart of this entire saga, and that same contradiction applies here just as much as it did with the Storm situation. You can't claim to be defending women's sports while simultaneously arguing for the biggest roster opportunities to go to whoever has the most physically advantageous frame. At some point, the message has to match the mission, or people are going to keep questioning what the league is actually standing for.
Think about this for a minute, y'all. The girl have XXXY on the shirt. There's nothing there. Rational people go, I don't really like this shirt. Okay, finish watching the game. The co-owner of the team had to come down and cuss out kids. Listen to Sophie and them, team coach. She ain't gonna never let me come to the game, and I don't care. You're a terrible representation for women. Sophie is all y'all got. Roll the clip.
What's your stance? What is your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal
Great
stance?
question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint.
Think about how long it took the WNBA to deliver any real accountability in the Storm situation. A co-owner allegedly cursed at 2 teenage girls, one of whom was left in tears, and it still took days of public pressure before the league even confirmed that there would be consequences. If the league can move that slowly when it comes to protecting kids in the stands, why would anyone expect it to suddenly move quickly and thoughtfully when dealing with a roster decision that could reshape the competitive landscape of the sport? History suggests otherwise. It suggests the league waits until the internet has already chosen sides, then reacts to the controversy instead of having a clear policy in place before the controversy ever begins.
And she is absolutely dominating. Like physically destroying teams. Like getting the ball off rebounds and just running coast to coast and running in layups. And averaging 20 and 20. And there is a lot of pushback to her being in the league. There is an awful lot of pushback to the French seconds here for allowing trans women play.
And look, credit where it's due. The woman can clearly play. She led League 2 in both scoring and rebounding, swept Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Domestic Player of the Year, collected 15 Player of the Week honors, and even set a league record with 30 rebounds in a single game back in March. That's a video game stat line. But here's the sarcastic part nobody wants to say out loud. Of course those numbers look unreal when you're talking about a player with a major physical size and athleticism advantage over much of the competition. At that point, the question isn't simply how dominant the player is, it's whether the competition is being conducted on a level playing field. Because when the physical gap becomes the story, the box score stops telling the whole story. It starts telling you about the mismatch.
You might want to do it before the Portland Fire do. I mean, hell, you might want to sign Julie Tettard before Cheryl Reeve and the Minnesota Lynx sign Julie Tettard. I'm just saying, don't get mad and don't try to take the credit away from Caitlin Clark when they win with Julie at the power forward center spot. Caitlin Clark absolutely crushed ESPN ratings over the weekend once again. And there's a transgender, Julie Tettard, who's looking to get into the WNBA. I say the Indiana Fever, go ahead and make the move since everybody's all good with it, right?
Now imagine the pitch. Sign Tart, put her next to Caitlin Clark, let her set screens all night, and suddenly the Fever are unstoppable. Sounds perfect on paper, right? Except take that idea one step further. If a team starts building its entire identity around exploiting one player's size advantage instead of developing actual team basketball, that's not some Cinderella story. That's the league drifting toward an exhibition. Caitlin Clark spent her first 2 seasons getting hammered by defenders and still finding ways to win through footwork, shooting, court vision, and reads that most players simply can't make. So what happens to that development if the answer to every problem becomes, just put a bigger body in the way? Clark built her game around creating shots, reading the floor, stretching defenses, and making the extra pass, not having a human wall clear a path for her on every possession. Coasting on a physical mismatch doesn't sharpen a superstar's game. It can dull it. Because the best version of Caitlin Clark is the one who has to earn every bucket, solve every defense, and make every possession count, not the version handed easy look simply because nobody on the other side can physically deal with the matchup.
Tettard dominated the second-tier French Women's Basketball League 2 by dropping 21 points per game while grabbing 20 rebounds. The biological male, who came out as trans in October 2021, led the league in both categories. It was a season any unlike the league has ever seen. With those numbers, the WNBA should be knocking down Tettard's door, right? Quote, if they contact me, I won't say no. But you have to be realistic. I'm old, and there are far better players than me. The overly humble 34-year-old Tétart told Outkick in French over Instagram direct messages on Monday. Far better? Are you sure? Tétart's season was so dominant that French media was stunned when the shredded center didn't win league MVP honors. The season was still good enough to win Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and domestic.
Now picture the next 5 seasons if this actually plays out the way the internet wants. Tatar sets the screen, defenders get wiped out, Clark gets an open look on virtually every possession, and the Fever start winning by 30 every night. Sounds incredible, for about a week. Then it stops being competition and becomes a foregone conclusion. And nobody tunes in for a foregone conclusion. Fans don't want a league where one roster move practically guarantees a championship. What made the WNBA compelling wasn't constant blowouts. It was the battles. Clark going shot for shot with Angel Reese. Aya Wilson and Brianna Stewart battling for every inch in games that could swing on a single possession. Championships felt earned because the rosters were built around elite talent, depth, strategy, and execution. Not one overwhelming matchup that nobody could answer. Take that tension away and you don't get a better product. You get a coronation. And coronations get boring very, very quickly.
Social media users are calling on the WNBA to sign French basketball player Julie Tétart, who is openly transgender. Her stats are through the roof, and when asked if she was willing to play, if there was an opportunity, she said, if they contact me, I won't say no, but you have to be realistic. I'm old and there are far better players than me. I mean, she's 34, which isn't that old in the WNBA. There's literally a 35-year-old rookie in the league right now, but she averages 20 points and 20 rebounds per game in France. It seems like Julie could be actual competition for someone like A'ja Wilson, whose Las Vegas Aces have a 17% chance of winning the WNBA championship this year, according to Kelce Traders. Others are arguing that it is a competitive advantage, and ultimately this wouldn't be fair to the...
And this is where the whole situation gets even messier. When Tatar was asked directly what she thought about Sophie Cunningham's position on keeping biological categories separate, her response was reportedly just one word in French: aucun. So now imagine the league signing a player who has already publicly dismissed the very concern that sparked so much controversy in the first place. That's not some minor footnote buried in the story. That's the controversy walking right back through the front door wearing a new jersey. And this time, there's nowhere to hide behind a shirt, a staged confrontation, or a vague statement that carefully avoids the actual issue. Because if the league really wants to make this roster decision, it has to address the substance head-on. Otherwise, the same argument is going to keep coming back. Same controversy, different player, different jersey, same unanswered questions. At some point, the league has to decide whether it's going to establish a clear standard or simply keep reacting every time the internet catches fire.
When you're trying to compete against women, against girls, in women's sports, trying to act like there's no advantage when there's no way in hell that there's no advantage. This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. That's what this is about.
It should be noted that you have coaches and players, female, in the WNBA, a women's sport, that have sold out women in this. Right up the river. Nah, we're good. Bring whatever swinging dick in here. Put a wig on him. Let him play. There's one in France right now that is ready.
Try to picture the locker room conversations. Veterans who spent years grinding through college basketball, overseas leagues, training camps, and WNBA benches, fighting for every roster spot and every minute, watching a major physical advantage walk in and suddenly become the biggest story of the season. How is that supposed to feel for the players who helped build this league year after year, often fighting for a fraction of the coverage, attention, and money the men's game receives? Nobody wants to say it out loud because the conversation around this subject has become incredibly loaded. But you don't need a microphone inside the locker room to understand why some players might have questions. Because if the message becomes, the biggest physical advantage wins, what does that say to everyone who spent years mastering the actual craft of the game? That's the uncomfortable question sitting underneath this entire debate, and pretending it doesn't exist won't make it disappear.
I've chosen to educate myself about the space. I've chosen to listen to transgender families, and what I know is exclusion is not the answer. We've got to find the common ground and be inclusive. That's the space. I think if we all come from that. I also think like I said, the issue isn't as big as the issues that we have in women's sports. Whether it's cisgender men that have held us down for years in spaces like being able to have access to facilities and uniforms and locker rooms, all the things that these young girls that are sitting at games with anti-trans signs, do they understand actually what their real problems are and how they're being marginalized? We're still not in a space where we have equality. We don't even have the Equal Rights Amendment in all 50 states, right? So there's real issues.
Reeve told reporters her shirt was about inclusion and keeping kids safe. Fine. Nobody is arguing against kids feeling safe. That should be a given. But here's the sarcastic gut punch. If the league wants to talk about inspiring young girls, growing the sport, and giving the next generation of hoopers something to chase, then the message has to be about what those girls can achieve through skill, discipline, and hard work. Little girls don't need another lecture about categories and competing narratives. They need to see players who look like them become great by outworking, outshooting, outsmarting, and outplaying the competition. That's part of the appeal of women's basketball. The idea that you can build your game through preparation, skill, toughness, and years of dedication, and earn your place at the highest level. So if the league wants to protect and grow that pipeline, the question shouldn't be who can create the biggest headline. It should be what kind of competitive environment gives the next generation of girls the strongest reason to believe there's a place for them at the top of their own sport. Because that dream was never supposed to be about finding the biggest possible mismatch. It was supposed to be about becoming the best player you can be.